We really are a funny bunch of people, you know that. I mean, it comes to something when a lot of people tend to kind of say that they love to educate themselves, but then prove themselves completely wrong. As you might not have actually guessed by the title, this is kind of like a political rant, but it's not a political rant in the sense that you would actually think this is a political rant, because it's kind of more to do with politics, but aimed at people who are stupid when it comes to politics. The issue or issues I refer to here are actually to do with who you hold accountable. I'm going to be using two people in particular with this, because these are the two most common people that I see on my Facebook, on Twitter, on kind of every social networking level, that people hold accountable for kind of everything that goes wrong, and yet they are the wrong people. So you would probably be right in thinking that I am living in the UK, so the first person would of course be David Cameron. And then the second person, because I do have a lot of American friends and people who look over to America and see what's happening over there and obviously make judgments on it, but President Obama as well. When it comes to things like the current financial state of both countries, you know, yes, they are in a bad way. Probably more in the UK than it is in America. You know, we are kind of, for some reason, politically speaking, putting ourselves under austerity when we've actually no need to. Or very little need to, should I say. And people don't like this. People don't like the thought of higher taxes. People don't like the thought of they are going to get less for their money. And that's just the way that it goes. That's the way that we are money-driven people living in this day and age that we do. But every time that it comes up that, you know, taxes are going to go up, or that, you know, something financially has gone wrong and it's going to cost the taxpayer X amount of money to fix it and that sort of thing. Do you know, over here in the UK, a lot of people on my Facebook and on my Twitter always say, oh, David Cameron's done this, David Cameron's messed up again, David Cameron this, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? David Cameron isn't actually responsible for that. I mean, if we're going to carry on using over here as an example, then we need to look at where our problems actually started. Our problem started with Labour. The Labour Party over here, when the banks were showing signs of we can't cope, instead of doing what I would have done with the banks and literally just leaving them to fall apart, Labour threw money at them in hoping that it would save the banks. Now, it did save the banks, but that was it. On paper, the banks were safe. That was fine, you know. The public owned a bit of them, and, you know, everything was great. But what Labour didn't do was to reform the banks and actually make change happen. Now, some people are going to say, yeah, it's because they got voted out and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Labour had an awfully long time to bring in some sort of change, and they didn't do it. So when it came to time for voting, people looked at the government and went, they're not right for us, we need change. And that's why the Labour Party was voted out, because people had had enough. Throwing money at a problem does not fix it, you know. I mean, I came out with a joke a couple of weeks ago about the Labour Party, and I said that I mean, that they changed who was the leader of their party, so at the moment it is Punch from Punch and Judy, and I put a joke out and I said, oh yeah, I saw him in the road the other day and there was a pothole in the road, so he threw some money down at it and it didn't fix it. But I guess that's not the first time that Labour have had to learn the lesson that throwing money at something doesn't necessarily fix it. So when Labour got booted out and we got the coalition over here, we got two political parties put into power. I can't remember exactly what the divide is. I think it's 55-45, so something like that. I can't remember how this works. But yeah, so, I mean, we wanted the change, and the government changed, and things did change. Now, looking at it from my point of view, yes, when you are faced with a problem like that, yes, it is understandable that you are going to have to make some, really harsh changes right across the board. You're going to have to put the seeds in place for them to grow tomorrow. That's what you have to do. You have to look to the future and go, okay, this is our goal. This is how we're going to get there. And that's kind of what they did. They said, okay, well, we need to bring in our expenditure because we can't afford it anymore, but we also need to bring in our income. So we need to raise taxes on certain things, like near enough right across the board, the taxes went up. And okay, it might not work. I mean, when they turn around and say, by raising the taxes this much, it is going to bring in, as an example, £1 million in tax, and that's going to be over the next 6 months. And then when the review comes, and it's only brought in £750,000, people jump down their throats. But I mean, how are the taxes actually brought in? Well, they're brought in by people's wages. Well, hello, we've got mass unemployment over here in the UK. They're brought in by taxes. Well, a lot of people can't afford to buy the shopping that they used to, because in each home we've all had to make cutbacks because we can't afford what we once could. So it's understandable when the government turn around after however long, when it comes to the new tax year, and they say, okay, well, we didn't quite meet our target with that one. So a lot of people then criticise the government and go, oh, well, you said it would knock X amount off the deficit, and then it was going to be great, and blah, 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 and it didn't turn out like that. Well, that's why, because it's really, really hard to actually predict how much income from taxes you are actually going to get in, because you just don't know. It really depends on people working and people spending. And if that shrinks, if that stops, you are not going to get in any tax off that, or you're going to get in a really less amount than that, but you don't know what it's going to be. So this brings me on to my other point. You see, every time here in the UK the taxes go up or something like that happens, it always falls down and people say, oh, it's David Cameron and he's failing at his job, he's the worst man in the world, and blah 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 blah, whatever these people come out with. But you know what, in all honesty, I mean, yeah, okay, I'm not David Cameron's biggest fan here. I'm not even a massive supporter of him, because I do criticise a lot of what he actually does. But that said, I don't hold just him accountable for these things that are going wrong in the government. There is a lot of other people that are connected in that government that also make decisions. When it goes to a vote on, what was the last thing they voted on? My God, I can't even remember. That's about it. It was only a couple of days ago. But, I mean, when they go to vote, okay, so say the outcome of the vote doesn't go how the majority of the public want it to go. These people always hold David Cameron responsible. Well, he wasn't the only voter. Have a look at how other people voted. The information is out there, people. Look it up. The same goes with American politics. Now, obviously, a lot of the news that we get over here at the moment is to do with Obama's got into his second term, and the debt ceiling just keeps going up and up and up and up, and it's totally Obama's fault, and it's like, he's just the worst president, and the Republicans would have done a better job because they would have brought the deficit down, and blah 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 blah. All these people come out with this crazy stuff. It's bullshit, basically. That's all it is. So, I mean, I don't worry about it too much. When I see the news and it says, oh yeah, the debt ceiling limit, whatever they call it, that's gone up again, and, America is now in X amount of debt. Bothered? No. Do I mean, basically what it is, it's like, here where I live, it's like, if I wanted to renovate but do it really, really expensively, so I set myself a limit of saying, okay, well, I'll get a credit card, I'll get a mortgage, I will do whatever it is that I need to get the money, but the most that I will get in is £100,000. So that is my debt ceiling, that is my limit. But then I get halfway through the renovations and I've spent it. That money's gone. I can get more money, but I've already reached my limit. Well, we'll go on then. We'll get that extra credit card. My debt ceiling has just gone up. And that's what it is with America. It's not it's nothing, you know? It's just politics. The main thing with this is that people hold Obama responsible for the amount of debt that America is in. What people actually forget is the massive, massive, massive building which is behind him, not always, but sometimes, Congress. People forget that Congress exists. People forget that it is not just Obama's political party that run Congress. See where I'm going here? So, if you think that the Republicans would do such a better job with America's finances, ask yourself this question. Because the Republicans are already in Congress. Why aren't they making the changes that they need to now? Why aren't they putting it out, saying, okay, well, Obama put forward this thing, we would have done it this way. Why wouldn't they do that? Instead, what the Republican Party actually do is they go after Obama. I mean, this has actually been said by certain Congress people who are related to the Republican Party. And they said that it doesn't matter. They actually don't care about America. They only care about the Republican Party. So everything that Obama puts forward, like what is now commonly known as Obamacare. Why it's known as Obamacare, I don't know, because it is a Republican thing, but whatever. So when he goes to put ideas for that forward, it gets rejected. But you can see why it gets rejected when there are people in there who say, I don't care, I'm just going to vote against him, because it should be my party that's in, you know, not him. I'm just going to go after him. And he's not going to win, and he's going to do a really bad job, and America's going to hate him, and then he's out. That's fine. Republicans get in again. Politics can change, and you can add your voice to it. You can either do it online by signing petitions, you can do it by turning up to protest. Whatever it is, throw your voice out there. But make sure, if you are going to throw your voice out there, that you are throwing your voice in the right direction. Because throw your voice at Obama, throw your voice at David Cameron, throw your voice at Nick Clegg, it's going to fall on deaf ears, because these are just the faces of politics. They are not the exact politicians who are going to have made all this nasty change that you never wanted to happen, even though you voted them in. Whatever it is, you need to understand who you are actually angry with, and then go after that person.